Okay, things are starting to get a little bit more serious here, it looks like. So what are the side effects of the things? I guess the game's not going to reveal it quite yet. Alright, let's see here. Let's go duplicate a skill card again, as we do. Run over this way. Give me another card, please. Yeah, I mean, like, depending on how you classify them. I've heard of some people that have ones for, like, basically ever. But yeah, it's funny how quickly the game took a turn 40 hours too late, yeah. Pretty much here. Oh, that's a cherry guy. I thought that was someone new. Yeah, I can hang out there. That's the elderly couple, I'm fairly certain. I don't know, I'll probably hang out with someone here. I don't know. This guy again, not sure if you remember me, but it's Sarag from the art club. You're not obligated to attend, obviously, but it'd be really nice if you showed up. I'll be in the art room if you decide to stop by. So that Fortune one, huh? Yeah, it's Fortune Art Club. I have a Fortune one right there, so I guess I can just start on this new social link a decent bit, since I don't have much progress on it yet. But yeah, I always say though, bros before hoes. Yep. Here, it's been a hot second since I saved, so I believe it'd be with an E. Here, let's see here. So if I control F for Fortune, this jerk here. But yeah. Yeah, it's something a bit more at least. Rank 1 to rank 2. All choices of this rank have no effect. Answer however you like. Oh, that means that I'm not going to be able to immediately rank up from 2 to 3. Well, maybe I can run into him with a Koromaru walk afterwards then. So I should write him down. Scratching of pencils echo throughout the art room. It's been so fun that the hours flew by.
Let's wrap up for today. Good work, everyone.
What the hell am I drawing?
All done.
All right, let's clean up and go home.
Some dude with a blade on his head? What's wrong?
This has been happening a lot lately. It's just a little headache. I don't think it's anything to worry about.
Was Sephiroth
You
close
should
by?
really figure out what's causing the pain. It might lead to serious complications down the road. Does anywhere else hurt? Are your nose and throat all right? Does it feel like your head is in a vice?
Apparently some of my truck parts were in a vice recently to get them to stay still. Hiraga is getting the details of Fuka's symptoms.
Oh boy, here we go. Keisuke-senpai strikes again. Yamagishi-san won't be going anywhere for a while.
Strikes again?
If someone isn't feeling well, he always tries to figure out what's wrong. And it doesn't matter when or where. Once he starts, it takes forever. Keisuke-senpai's dad's the director of a big hospital, and he's an only child. I guess he just can't stand to see people suffer. I bet he'll end up going to medical school.
So the pain's originating from the back of your head? Could you turn around, please?
He just suplexes her.
It's just a chronic
That'll solve it.
headache. Most likely the result of stress. You might be spending too much time in front of the computer. Try to get outside and exercise more. It must seem funny to get medical advice from the head of the art club.
I was worried I'd come down with the flu or something.
In that case, I can do a more thorough check. Could you remove your shirt? Also, open your mouth and stick out your tongue.
What? That's okay. I'm fine. Besides, our dorm isn't far, so he can accompany me back.
Sorry. Wait, you two live in the dorms? I guess I see it in Yamagishi-san. She seems like the well-adjusted type. I bet you're a great cook. Do you take care of the laundry? Is living alone hard?
I think Hiraga has taken an interest in me. I feel like we're becoming closer friends. I don't think it's me he has the interest in. Okay, well, rank 2. Click back to my stream manager, then back to the game.
Oh, sorry, Yamagishi-san. I forgot about your condition. I know it's close, but I don't think you should be walking home. Why don't I call you a taxi? Though a bumpy
Man,
taxi
remember
ride
the days
might
when
make
people
your day
taxied?
worse. Maybe a limousine
Instead of
would be better.
Ubered or Lyfted. Or lime biked.
That's okay.
Or whatever the hell else.
I'm fine, really.
It's getting dark out. I said goodbye to the club members and went back to the dorm. Good evening. What do you want?
Hello, this is Elizabeth speaking.
Someone wandered into Tartarus?
I'm calling in regard to a recent
Or just more
change
floors
in
are
Tartarus.
unlocked?
It seems
Is my
that
head moving back and
Tartarus
forth while the
blocked
phone
off
stays
is
still?
now open. I thought it prudent to inform you. Well then, I wish you a safe journey.
Elizabeth said that previously blocked path is now open. I should check it out next time I go to Tartarus. Yeah, I will at some point here.
Oh, it's you. Welcome
And then
back.
it does a transition there for some reason. In the exact same position as before the transition. Welcome back. Yori may be permitted to watch over that girl for the time being. Now's not the time to bombard her with questions. Besides, we still have 3 shadows to contend with. We should be able to accomplish that within the next few months, unless the situation changes. Don't let your guard down until the very end. Harmonia, do you count having crush on Fire Emblem characters as a crush? No, I'd say I just count that as finding them attractive. But yeah. Also, it's hose. Also, it's with an apostrophe after the T. But yeah, I know that you're just like letting Guzma know there. But yeah, I remember doing that there. I wish you didn't. What, rank the different Fire Emblem characters? You're responding to John Wildcat there. I missed that earlier thing. Never had a crush, honestly. Yeah, same here. And yeah, that's fair there, Guzma. Yeah, sorry, I missed the earlier message. Can anybody use the rooftop planters? Of course. I see. I mean, I'm the one that's currently using them. Oh! Thinking about planters, that's an update that I have that I'll probably share during Assassin's Creed Odyssey as well. I harvested my Pomatoes not yesterday, the day before. Yes, the day before yesterday, on Monday, the day that I took my truck into service. I harvested my Pomatoes, and I have an update on that. So, I've been getting tomatoes off of them throughout the season, but it's only a few days ago that I finally pulled up the plant to get, like, the potatoes hidden underneath the earth. I can show that here. So, like, I did, like, a whole thread here about what that looked like. But just pulling them up from the ground, there was, like, immediately potatoes right there. So you can see these are tomato plants, and you can see, like, this is where you'd be able to pick tomatoes from. And tomato leaves all over the place, and you pull this up from the ground, and look, potatoes. All on one plant, from me surgically grafting them together. So, yeah, these are called red apple potatoes. They're a type of potato that has red skin. Red apple potatoes is the type that I grow the most of. And yeah, you have all these red roots with them, and then, like, the green tomato stalks and all that. And I thought it was really surprising how none of them snapped at the graft point. They all snapped at, like, the roots when I pulled them up. So, like, the graft was on there extremely strong. You can see the graft here, this one. So, like, this is 100% potato, and this is 100% tomato. And right there is where they're fused and sharing resources with one another. And they're, like, really, really strongly attached, considering the grafts did not come apart, like, at all. Like, you can see here, here's tomato, where it's completely green, and then here's potato, where it's completely red, because red apple potato, it's just the type of potato that is. So it's interesting to see this stalk, where it goes from fully green to fully red, and it's all one plant, and it's on there so tight that when I pulled it up, it snapped at the roots, not at this point. Like, that was on there. Like, it was a strong graft point. This is what all I got from the harvest there, plus a few tomatoes that I missed, because I found on pulling up the plants that there was a few tomatoes on the plants that I missed, so I threw those in there too. So then washing those all off, it was that many, and then doing an inventory, it was this many here. So it was a decent few potatoes, and for reference, averaging them out, it was this many, because there was 3 plants, so averaging them out across 3, so that there's roughly 3 equal groups, it was about this many per plant. And when you consider that my pure potato plants, for reference, had about this many per plant on, like, my good ones. My potato patch at my Oma's place was pretty overrun by weeds, so getting something like this from one of my potato plants was, like, a good harvest. So this is, like, the better side of a potato harvest. That's about the same as this, is the case. So the amount of potatoes was roughly the same as on the pure potato plants. And I was just doing a little note here about how, like, the amount of tomatoes was quite a decent bit. Like, I would go out there with, like, a bowl from time to time during the season and, like, get, like, a bowl full of tomatoes from these plants. And that was about as many as I was getting from my pure tomato plants in my yard. But if we're comparing it to, like, a pure tomato plant with, like, super ideal conditions, like the peak, then it was no competition. I harvested everything off this plant earlier today, the tomato tree, which spread all the way up to the garage roof at my Oma's place. I had to reach up high to pick tomatoes off of there earlier today. It spread all the way over here to, like, off camera. It spread over into these plants. It just went everywhere. I harvested that thing earlier today, and it, I can show what it looked like here. If I just post into plants here really quickly. Let's see here. Let's just say final tomato tree harvest, because I had to harvest everything off because frost is coming in and it would destroy stuff. So I harvested even all the unripe ones, and they can finish ripening inside. So the harvest of that looks like this at the end. So this was a massive container here. Like, it looks a little bit smaller in the photo, I think, but this was a big container. And here, I can post the picture of the full tomato harvest from my Oma's yard that I've been slowly chipping away at over the past few days. It looks like this. So this is all the big tomatoes from a few days ago when I harvested those. Here, get rid of a little bit of that inception. This is all the big tomatoes. Is my camera gonna be blocking any of this as well? I can't tell. Let's play my stream manager and see. Nope, it's not. Okay, cool. We're good. This is all the big tomatoes. Most of them are Creole tomatoes, is what most of these are seeing there, is Guzma. Some of these ones are Brandywines, like that's a black Brandywine one, I'm pretty certain, because it's darker, I can tell. Like, same with that one. This one with all the grooves and stuff, that'd be a Brandywine, that'd be a Brandywine. So this is all the big tomatoes that I harvested several days ago until it started raining on me. This is the rest of the big tomatoes I harvested today, that, because I guess I missed them the last time I was there. These couple dark ones here are black Brandywine tomatoes, but the rest of these green ones are all Creole tomatoes. Then these are all the red cherry tomatoes from, like, a few red cherry tomato plants that were around. These are all golden pearls, which is not tomatoes, but related to them, one of my experimental species, and there was a lot of them. They look like peas, but they ripen to be yellow, like that one there. And then this is the full harvest from that one tomato plant, from that one tree. So, yeah, these are all golden pearls. It produced quite a decent bit, that plant. Zoom in on the golden pearls. I click open in browser. Well, like that. That's what they look like. So when they're ripe, they're yellow, like that. And there's a lot of little ones still left on the plant that I left there because I don't think that they would grow after I take them off. And might not be worth getting, like, the little itty bitty ones, especially considering they're already small. Like, compared to a cherry tomato, like, cherry tomato is, like, 8 times the size when we're talking about volume. So, like, 2 times, 1 in each axis for 8 times total. Maybe even a little bit bigger than that. But none are yellow. Okay, well, they'll start to look like that when they're ripe, once they get there. But anyway, so if we're comparing the Pomato to, like, a pure tomato at its peak, it's not even a competition. The thing that has tomato roots is going to produce a lot more tomatoes. So the result of my experiment of combining tomatoes and potatoes together, I expected the yields of both to be less because it takes a lot of energy to make tomatoes and it takes a lot of energy to make potatoes. And normally one plant would make either or and send all its resources to that. But now you have one plant that's making both tomatoes above ground and potatoes underground. So it has to share its resources across developing both. So you'd expect the yields to be less. The result of my experiment across my 3 Pomato plants is the potato harvest was pretty much unchanged. It made about the same amount of potatoes as a pure potato plant. In terms of the tomatoes, it was a bit less yield than my pure tomato plants. Not by a massive ton, but noticeably less. Again, like, it did still produce a lot. But if we're comparing to, like, the peak of, like, super optimal conditions tomato plant, it's not even a competition. The pure tomato plant, like, wins it by a landslide with so much more. But it was honestly a lot more produce than I thought it was going to be. It was definitely a worthwhile experiment, and I think I'm probably going to do it again next year. And maybe I'll do it with some of my experimental species next year. Considering the reason why it's really easy to do with tomatoes and potatoes is because not only are they in the same plant family, but they're in the same genus, which is like the next section under family, and then under genus is species. And tomatoes and potatoes are in the same species. or in the same species, in the same genus. Tomatoes and potatoes compared to peppers, though, are not in the same genus. Peppers are a different genus. You can graft peppers with tomatoes, and I think potatoes as well, and it has been done, but it's harder. And, like, the odds of success aren't quite as good because they're not as genetically related. My experimental plants, like the golden pearls, amber pearls, Symbolo, and, I don't think I looked up for kangaroo apples, and purple hull tomato. Those are the ones I looked up. Apparently, they're all in the same genus as tomatoes and potatoes as well, which means they are extremely closely related. So maybe next year, I might try making pomato plants again, but I might combine it with more different species. This year, it was only 2 species, tomatoes, potatoes, and multiple different varieties of tomato, but those are different varieties. So like the level under species. You have species and then varieties. So I had multiple varieties of tomato, but maybe next year, if I'm doing it again, maybe I'll actually try doing different species. So maybe have on, like, potatoes underground, and then one stalk is tomatoes, and then one stalk is golden pearls, then one stalk is amber pearls, then one stalk is haltomato, or haltomata, or whatever the heck it is. It was one of the two. It ends with a O or an A. I don't remember which. And then you have, like, a bazillion species plant. Like, I could probably get, like, 4 or 5 species on one plant, and that sounds like so cool. And because things like amber pearls and golden pearls are so niche and barely anybody knows about them, I know I'm not the first person to make tomatoes. Like, it has been done many times throughout history. Like, there's a whole Wikipedia page on tomatoes, I think. But amber pearls, golden pearls, and potatoes, because they're so niche and barely anyone knows about them, if I combine those 2 species together, there's a chance that maybe I'd just be the first person ever in the world to combine those 2 species onto one plant, which would be really cool to say that I did, like, a world's first, like, species combination by surgically putting them together. Like, that'd be kind of cool. Be, like, the first of its kind in the world. It's like, it changed some stuff. Can't believe they gave us something like that. So I might experiment with that more next year. Also, I have been recording the whole Pomato process throughout the year, and because a decent few people did express interest in that little poll that I did while I was away on my trip about having, like, channels for content on the Fargo truck project and on my crazy gardening projects, I do have other channels made. There's no videos on them, and it would just be for those that are already part of the community that are interested in, like, seeing the process behind some of that stuff, or people that are Googling the process behind that kind of stuff, and my videos can serve as some sort of tutorial for them. I figured I would upload videos on the more interesting stuff. So at some point here, I might compile all my video stuff on Pomatos, make it into a video that has, like, the timeline. So, like, this is where they were made, this is how they're developing over time, here's the updates over time, and then finally the harvest at the end. And one of these days, maybe I'll have a video that I can publish to one of these other channels that is, like, the Pomato journey and how that came to be. And then maybe I'll make one next year as I combine more different species. So, yeah, there's that. Take care of a plant is like taking care of a baby, a very strange baby. I appreciate that there, Jaw Wildcat Gardening, huh? Let's grow something together. Or should I do it with you? I guess that's fine. But if you want to do it with me, I'm gonna make sure you do it properly. I don't think you're done once you've planted the seeds. Yeah, I had to plant tomatoes and potatoes separately, grow them both to a decent size, and then surgically mash them together. If you get impatient, then don't bother. Then into the rooftop planters might help improve the quality of the produce. I'm gonna head up. What about you? Sure. You've been getting a Z50. All right, let's go then. With what an edgelord you are, you might actually get a kick out of popping up plants and Frankensteining them together. I can show you how to do that. I got this.
Good answer. Let's just hope you can maintain that enthusiasm.
So yeah, I think next year I might make it my goal to see how many species I can get on one plant as possible.
They'll probably turn out.
Sounds like a cool experiment. Because my tomatoes turned out great this year. Way better than I expected.
I'm talking too much. Let's get back to work.
Tended the plants with Aragaki.
That should do it. This kind of work is usually easier with more people. Come help out again when you've got the time.
If only I could grow tomatoes in this game, then Persona 3 Reload would really be a good game.
Now, and wash your hands after handling all that soil.
All right, it's Friday. Heck yeah. Currently 12:18.
Morning.
I don't know how much longer I'm going to be streaming. I'm not going to be making it through to, like, the next Tartarus visit, which means I can stream this game one more time before I take, like, a longer break. Morning, Acoustic-kun. So, there's something bothering me lately. Why did Aragaki-senpai suddenly decide to come back? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well, he looks scary, but he doesn't seem like the type who'd rejoin just because he likes to fight. But yeah, it's 12:19 in the morning. Don't know how much longer I'm gonna stay up, because I'll sleep in a decent bit. I am also recovering from being sick yesterday. I'm feeling a lot better right now, hence me being able to stream. But yesterday, I was only in work for a few hours, and I had to go home because I was just, like, half dead. Like, I was sniffling and sneezing and nose running and just constantly, and just felt like crap. Today, I feel a lot better, evidently by me streaming, but I'm still recovering from being sick, so I do want to, like, still get some proper rest, and I do need to be up at, like, a semi-decent hour to call the place that's working on my truck to tell them to remove the transmission and see how long that's gonna take, and then get a tow truck booked, and then drive out to, like, the small community where that is. It's getting repaired kind of in the same area as, like, Fragapalooza takes place, so it's a little bit of a drive. Not too bad, but it's a little ways out. And so I'm gonna have to go out there, sort out everything that was done on it, get a tow truck figured out, bring it home, and put away for the season. So I have a decent bit of stuff to do tomorrow. Hello, class. Gachi Laka Bachabe. Are you ready? Then let's begin. Today we'll discuss the magic of the Renaissance era. The Renaissance was a time when the arts of the sciences enjoyed a strong resurgence in Europe, and honestly, it could well have been the Zelda game. The fact that I just played that for, like, so long and just pushed my body, like, and my throat was getting so sore, like the end of a 24-hour cherry stream there. That same place or a different place? Are you talking about, like, the place that I took my truck to when we were at Fragapalooza last year? Because it was a glass place that I took my truck to while we were at Fragapalooza. I had to get the glass fixed after it got chipped. Like, I brought it to an actual, like, shop for it to be worked on mechanically, is the place. It was just for glass at Frag. Of course, this had a profound influence on magic, although it may be more accurate to say the two studies helped improve one another. Well, like, since I wasn't working today, like, realistically, I would have streamed yesterday, but the reason why I wasn't working today is because I was sick and recovering from that, and I did not remotely feel up to that. So I spent a lot of the day yesterday cutting the previous streams up into parts in my video editor and rendering them one by one, and I'm still not done. Like, I'll get there eventually. That's why I very much like using the Twitch highlighter when it works. I did not take the truck to Frag this year. It was broken down, like, what, the week before it or something like that? That was when I was having more carburetor issues, I think. Or maybe that was the fuel pump issues. One way or another, it was leaking. No, it wasn't leaking. That was when I thought I fixed the leaks, but the engine wasn't running anymore. And the following week, I replaced the spark plugs, and then it worked again. But now it sounds like I shouldn't drive it anymore until I figure out the stuff with the clutch and transmission. Because even though, from what I heard from the shop earlier today, apparently it's running really good now. So therefore, it's running like the best it has in a long time after the work they've put into it. But with the state that the clutch and transmission is in, now that they've found that out from the inspection, it's only a matter of time until it randomly breaks down on the road. So it's gonna be a decent bit of work. So even taking it to Frag last year, realistically, I probably shouldn't have. I mean, I needed to take it to the glass place anyway. I needed to take it to Leduc there to get the glass fixed. So it was kind of out of necessity there. But it sounds like I was really lucky for it to have even taken me this far. Hopefully we'll sort it out properly this winter. And yeah, hopefully it doesn't cost that much. I'm currently at $640 for everything that they've done. And that's getting the high beams working, getting my park lights working, though one socket needs to be replaced, still one of them is a decent bit dimmer. Getting my carburetor working, dismantling the transmission and the clutch assembly well enough to, like, inspect it and see what's going on there. And just generally inspecting the vehicle and putting together, like, a list of parts that I'm gonna need to source over the winter. And I think that also comes with, like, the estimate of them replacing the pad on my e-brake. I think. I gotta confirm with them tomorrow morning. Like, you are replacing the e-brake, right? Because the last time I chatted with them, they hadn't yet. So it's a decent bit of stuff. So it's like, it cost me a decent bit, but it's not, like, unworldly amount of cost. And that's why the Renaissance helped the further magic. So, yeah, the engine wasn't working when I took it to frag, when I wanted to take it to frag this year. And even if it was, it's probably a good thing that it wasn't, considering long distances with the state the clutch is in. Yeah, it sounds like it's best to just not use it until it gets fixed from this point on. So it's probably a good thing I didn't take it to frag this year. But if I could, I would have. So good thing I couldn't. And I'm really glad that changing the spark plugs was the thing that fixed it. Just something small. Like, it really goes to show how, like, the engine itself, despite being 70 plus years old, is the one thing that keeps on working perfectly. Like, the spark plugs is a thing that inserts into the engine, but isn't a part of the engine itself. So, like, the engine itself is the one thing that has constantly worked perfectly for me. No issues with that whatsoever. It's the everything else that gives me issues. But man, was that one high quality made engine for it to last this long, this reliably. Like, that's one good engine there, holy crap. You know, yeah, maybe I'll do it next year. Want to sleep in the truck tent? It was pretty good, not gonna lie. This year's had finally nailed down a way to escape the rule of the church. By studying the teachings of previously inaccessible sects, knowledge of magic flourished, possibly like never before. The Renaissance also brought about the revival of ancient Greek and Roman literature. Magical texts such as the Hermetica received all new translations and increased study. Philosophy, natural history, alchemy, astrology. This book is filled with a wide range of subjects. Some even consider it the Bible of magic. Just as science and astronomy have made strides in the modern day. Yeah, at last year's frag was the case. So there was 3 nights at Fragapalooza last year. The first night, my truck spent at Leduc Crystal Glass because it was the only crystal glass place remotely nearby willing to work on something that old, because the foreman there collects old Dodges. So it spent its first night there. Then the second night, Guzma slept overnight in there, and then the third night I slept overnight in the truck. So that was how the truck spent its 3 nights at Fragapalooza last year, and then I drove it home. The science and astronomy have made strides in the modern day, and I needed to take it to... I didn't need to take it to Crystal Glass. I needed to take my car to Crystal Glass as well, because Finn, my friend from Germany that was joining us during Fragapalooza last year along with Guzma, yeah, he, I'd say that he's probably the one responsible for a crack going through the windshield of my car that flew from my truck. So last year for Fragapalooza, I drove my truck, Finn drove my car, because we needed enough stuff for us 3 people there. And I think that there was actually 4 of us. I think I took my cousin's kiddo along as well. So 2 vehicles, 4 people, and like a whole bunch of stuff loaded up for 4 people for Fragapalooza across those 2 vehicles. And I had to take the back roads. I can't drive my truck on the highway. It's not fast enough. And it's not safe either because it doesn't have any seatbelts or any safety measures at all. So we took the back roads, which was like a gravel road. And Finn was following really close in my car. And so a rock from my truck flew up and put a crack through the windshield of my car. So because we were going to Leduc Crystal Glass anyway, we ended up taking my car there, and they had to fix up my car at the same time they were fixing up the windows on my truck. So yeah, I wasn't super impressed with Finn's following distance. And I also wasn't super impressed on getting back from Fragapalooza. Once again, Finn was driving my car, and he got it home with like the fuel so low that the fill up fuel light was on, and he didn't fill it up, and 2, he didn't mention to me that it needed to be filled up. And like the following day, I had to drive Guzma to the airport. So right in the morning, I get into my car and I find the fill up fuel light on when I need to drive Guzma to the airport. So I needed to quickly go fill up fuel. And Finn, he's a nice guy. He means well, but a little bit clumsy there. Man. Yeah, I guess he didn't join you for the Shuma Frag, joined you for the On Ice. So the Extra Life one there, that's gonna be going on now in, wow, just under a month. Well, exactly a month if you count, like, right. In exactly 1 month from now, it'll be currently happening. That the one on Ice again is the case that you remembered. This is science and astronomy have made strides in the modern day, so too is the art of magic. You can see this in the emergence of one of the great magicians of all history who put the knowledge of the Renaissance into application. John Dee was a professor who advised the Queen of England, but don't remember the rock hitting your windshield? Yep, that ended up happening there. Well, I would feel more confident me driving. I drove with him a lot because him and I went up and down Vancouver Island together, and he was the only one that could drive because I was under 25 at the time, and there's like a lot of extra expense if you're under 25 because you're considered like a higher risk driver for like a rental vehicle. So he was the only one like put down to be a designated driver on the rental vehicle, so he drove us everywhere. His following distance was pretty close. Like, way closer than I would ever be. His following distance on the road to, like, the next vehicle in front of us was kind of like my dad's following distance, where it sketches me out sometimes. I'd say I'm probably the most careful driver in this household. My dad's driving scares me sometimes, and Finn's scared me a couple times. But, I mean, he does come from Germany, where you've got things like the Autobahn, and, I feel like people drive a little bit more aggressively there when they drive. There's a lot less cars on the road there. There's a lot more things like biking and public transit. But yeah, so almost tailgating then. How would I rate your driving? I would need to recall it. But I feel like the the environment down there is also like a lot more aggressive from like the average person on the road. I would definitely feel more safe with me driving, I would say. Especially when my dad was driving on the roads down there in the States. Like, oh my god. Like, he really scared me a couple times. But yeah, I don't remember exactly. I'd say that you're... Wait. I was about to say I would say that your driving is better than your mom's. But I need to rack my memory to remember when exactly we were riding with her driving. But I swear that that was the case. I was about to say that, and then I was like, wait, it wasn't just you driving everywhere, right? Yeah, I do now remember. I needed to make sure I wasn't getting, like, false memories here. I'd say that you're a better driver than your mom. But, yeah, there were definitely a couple times I was like, oh, I might have handled that a little bit differently. Magical knowledge he uncovered, he was able to communicate with angels. We're gonna be in this class, like, forever at this point. Of course, there's also, Hohenheim, a doctor who traveled across Europe. He became known as Paracelsus, a renowned physician and alchemist. Granted, the magician's life wasn't an easy one back then. Both men dealt with great amounts of persecution in their lives. Are you still listening? Even your astral selves need to pay attention. Here's a test to see if you're paying attention. Get wrong in your house will become permanently haunted. Bagahi Lasha Bakabe? Who to pick this time? I choose the acoustic. Remember you almost got too distracted by a thing when we were in traffic? I still think about it. Wish you didn't get distracted. I don't even remember this at this point. Like, I don't remember any specific instances. I just remember, like, my general impressions at this point. So, like, if you remember a specific thing, then that's more than I can say. But it'd probably make more of an impression on you as the driver. Which book helped further the art of magic during the Renaissance? I'm gonna guess that one. I'm wrong. It's this one. Correct. Enjoy sleeping in your peaceful home tonight. During the Renaissance, magic had a surprisingly strong influence on the church ruled society. Several magicians were even involved in the core part of the Renaissance, the religious revolution. The Renaissance was a lot more than a religious revolution, and so correctly everyone in the class is looking at me with respect. But this is just for charm, which I don't even need. Yeah, you are right. I keep on thinking in the back of my head that's gonna improve my academics, but yeah.